welcome everybody. So we're in for a bit of a corker this evening. We have a special guest, Flat Earth Dave. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Warm welcome to you, Dave. And
Thanks.
thank you so much for coming on this evening, giving us your time. One thing that we're a community that loves truth. We're truth seekers. We're hungry for the truth. We're very aware that the world isn't what it seems. And there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of opinions out there. And we just like to have an open floor for open discourse, really. So I want you to put you at ease first and foremost. We're very relaxed here. This is not a debate. I sometimes see some of these debates taking place online, and it upsets me sometimes because people are coming at it from a disingenuous perspective, or they'd want to do it for monetization to discredit people and things of that nature. Well, I just want to put you at ease. That's not what this is about. This is an opportunity for you personally to share with us your experiences, your knowledge, your research, how you arrived at where you've come to, and for us to just explore these ideas and thoughts and concepts. So, for anybody who doesn't know, I've put a little slide here about Dave, but you can find him online. He's got multiple YouTube channels, he's got a website as well, full of resources, full of videos and content that you can have a look at in your own time. And yeah, so warm welcome, Dave. Do you want to start off by just giving us a brief overview of who you are, how you came to
Sure. Sure.
find
Sure.
Flat Earth, and what led you into that direction? That would be great.
I'll keep it brief, but you had me listed as the Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole podcast. That we put to bed after 3.5 years, and I started the Flat Earth podcast, which we occasionally do an episode on because I'm on so many different podcasts now. It doesn't really pin out. So that's that. And I have all the different. I'm on X. I'm on multiple YouTube channels, Rumble, everywhere. You can find pretty much everything at flatearthdave.com. So that's easy. I make it easy. Just go there, find my socials. And how did I get into this? What year was it? I don't know, in the 80s, I started questioning the, taxation, the IRS, the government. And then in the 90s, I was basically working for, was it in the 90s? No. Later, after that, I lose the dates are not my thing. I was working at, I'll give you a short, keep it short. I was working at a big solar company, and my buddy Tim and I, in the lunchroom every day, we would be talking about, how the IRS isn't real and how money is made and how, just government corruption. And more people started like waiting for us to come in the lunchroom. We had like 20 people gathered around us at lunch every day. And then Tim calls me one day, Tim Rothschild, by the way. You can hang me to dry for that because his last name's Rothschild, who is not from the royal Rothschild family. And he goes, Dave, we can do a podcast in New York. There's this new podcast studio opening up on the Upper West Side. And it has to have an element of comedy. We would be the truth tellers. And Mike, his friend, who's a comedian, would try to turn everything into a fart joke, basically. And it was actually a great combination. And my comment then was, what's a podcast? I didn't even know what a podcast was. And he's like, it's a recorded radio show. And so we did that for 3.5 years. And in the last year, people started sending me Flat Earth stuff. And, we were looking into everything. You could say, anything. And I said, well, let me look into that. You mentioned Flat Earth. I was like, nope, you're an idiot. And then they'd post again. I came up with ban for life. Owen Benjamin stole that from me, by the way. So ban for life, because I'm not watching your 1-minute video because that's a step too far. But then Sophia Smallstorm forced me to look, and I didn't go in with an open mind, like, hey, let me find out the truth of this thing. I said, I'm just going to disprove it and get rid of all you idiots because I don't have time for this nonsense. And for 2 weeks, I didn't sleep. Back in 2014, YouTube was actually feeding you great stuff. You like this? Watch this. Oh, you like that? Watch this. And the algorithm was fantastic. And so after 2 weeks, I was like, holy moly. And I didn't want to talk about it. So for the next couple of weeks, I didn't bring it up on the podcast. I was like, we're going to lose all our listeners. Then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm all about truth. And I brought it up, and it didn't go over well. But that's okay. That's what the podcast was about. And basically, within a year, we were doing all sorts of Flat Earth stuff on there. But the podcast blew up. And my friend Matt Long, who I had met at a conference, he's like, "Hey, Dave, there's no podcasts, like audio podcasts about flat Earth." And so we started that. That went viral. And fast forward, I had my own, I went to college. I went to corporate America. I left corporate America. I started my own business. I was making more money than I ever thought I would make. Life is going great. I have the American dream, the thing, everything I did in my life was for more power and money. And then I had this opportunity to walk away from it all and hopefully be able to pay my bills. And I chose that one because it's a better mission. My goal in life isn't to make money. It is literally to unplug people from the matrix. Because if you guys are truth seekers, as you say, which I'm sure you are, nothing makes you happier than seeing somebody unplug from the mind programming and see reality for what it is, or at least see what it isn't. What they've been trapped in their whole life. And so that's what motivates me. Talking to people that have no idea what's going on, no idea that everything's live. Last thing, and then I'll throw it back to you, is people would go in the podcast, callers and stuff. They go, "Dave, everything can't be fake. Something has to be real." You think you're an auto hoaxer. And I was like, you're right. Something has to be real. I said, Sully, I don't know, for those of you in the United States, Sully landed that he was a pilot. He got a bird strike out of LaGuardia, and they landed on the Hudson River in the middle of the winter when it was like 20 below zero, and saved all the passengers. Right. And I'm like, that was real. Then I found out that wasn't real either.
Yeah, it's very difficult to decipher between what is real these days and what isn't, right? I think you've got to start from the point that everything is manufactured, and then you work your way back from there.
And
yeah,
I say, I don't like being what they call an auto hoaxer. Oh, there was a shooting, a school shooting, a fake, but every single one has been fake, right? Every single one. So if you auto hoax something, you have a 99% chance of being right. But I don't like to auto hoax. I like to look,
yeah.
You guys know what happened here in America the other day. You might lose half your audience when I say this. I looked at that and I'm like, wow, they finally killed somebody. There's no way it was a lone gunman. It was a professional hit, by the government. And I looked at the crowd reaction. At first it looked good, but then I looked deeper. It's not what you think it is. The entire thing is not what you think it is. I challenge anybody, find a picture by any fan, anybody, of Charlie with his kids. You'll never do it. There's 12 pictures of him and his wife, and they're the most awkward pictures ever. The kids' faces are hidden. Now, okay, they're private people. They're hiding the kids' faces, but they take them to stadium games and national parks and stuff where everyone, he has millions and millions, hundreds of millions of fans. There's no photos. There's none. The entire story of him is fake, like everything else. Sorry about that.
No. It doesn't surprise me at all. These people, these wicked, evil people, have been behind the scenes manipulating it. They've got tons of money funded, and for decades, if not centuries, they've been planning and plotting. So, we're very aware not to be so manipulated and driven by the emotional aspect of it all. Although it's they basically publicly executed someone, in on the world stage for one reason and one reason only, is to traumatize us all and to bring in the greater controls that they want to bring in, right, with the guns.
Real or
speech.
fake, they traumatize the entire world. Real or fake, either way. Okay. But if you look into it, and I tell people, don't ever believe things that I tell you. You need to go verify. If you want to learn about Charlie Kirk, my X account go back to the last 40 tweets and retweets. Spend a half a day, watch the stuff, think critically, and then you'll know that nothing is right as it was presented. My X is Flat Earth Dave X. Just put an X after Flat Earth Dave.
Great. Well, look, I must admit, when I first began waking up to all the lies and deception, a lot of people here are similar in the sense that they woke up around a similar time, which was all the COVID. That was the big awakening for a lot of people. And one of the first things that I came across was one of your videos where you were speaking to an old lady in a care home. I think she was about 100 years old, and she was the sweetest thing. 102 years old. There you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how long ago that was, but it must have been some time
2020.
Oh, right. Okay.
2020. And let me tell you a quick story about that.
Go on.
So I was visiting, this is Ruth right here. So I was visiting my mother, and my mother was in
Oh,
assisted living place, and my mom was taking a nap. And I said to the nurses, "Are there anyone that's over 100 that has their wits?" They're like, "Ruth, right over there, sitting by herself in the cafeteria." And so I went over and talked to her, and I nothing about flat Earth. I want to talk to her about the World's Fairs. I was looking into the World's Fairs, and she had been to. I found out she had been to one. She's telling me all about it, and she's telling me details and stuff like wild. And I said to her, I said, where'd you go to school? And she's like, I went to school in Hamden, Connecticut. And I said, what did they teach you in school about the Earth? That's all I said. And she goes, they taught me the Earth was flat. So in 1920s and 30s, they were teaching flat Earth here in America in public schools.
wow.
How about that? And it brought tears to her eyes because she's a Bible believer, and she's like, "Yeah, I never believed it when they told me, but I had to believe it because they told me." And I pointed out that we are at the center of creation, and she broke down in tears. It was the happiest day of her life. We kept in touch for a couple of years after that. She passed away a couple of years ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
at
she was lovely.
104.
But this just goes to show how long they've been gaslighting us for, right? And it's just a scary thought that all these generations that came after Ruth were just gaslit and to this day. And it's compounded generationally. Your parents then learn that, and then it becomes more ingrained, and then it's harder for people to get out of that psychosis. But I want to just say that, for me, I did a deep dive. I went into all the Masonic side of it, the Admiral Byrd, all the evidence going back, and the NASA moon landings and all of that came into it. And I believe very much in the Bible. I study the Bible. We teach it every Saturday here, every Shabbat here at ETP. And for me, it was very easy to accept a flat earth because a lot of what is taught in the Bible is a flat, stationary, non-moving, non-rotating flat plane, and that's very clear from the scriptures. So for me, it was a very easy, once I'd seen all the deception throughout the years and how it got, with the NASA programs and everything else, and then how it exploded, and then you look at the lies and the deception with the moon landings, it was very easy for me to accept flat earth. But there's probably some people here in the membership is going to have mixed feelings towards it and not necessarily have taken that dive or can accept such a radical point of view. So I just wonder what you would say to those people. What is it that nailed it for you in terms of the flat earth?
It's different for every person. Some people it's the Bible. It wasn't the Bible for me, but the Bible is a great exclamation point. The science and what nails it, it's different for everybody. Some of it is getting the thoughts out of their head. Well, what about seasons? What about boats over the horizon? And when you actually give them an explanation that matches a flat earth way better than it matches a globe earth with their actual observations, if they have the ego, if their ego is not too big and they're willing to relook at things, they see it. So I'd love to later at any point during this, for anybody that doesn't think the earth is flat, to have a quick conversation with you. I'd like to know why you don't think the earth is flat, and then I could address it.
Well, let me have a show of hands, members, you guys. Is there anybody here that believes in the globe narrative, or yeah,
Don't be
raise your
afraid.
hand.
Don't be. You know what's funny? In 2014, you don't want to raise your hand if you're a flat earther because you'd be embarrassed. Now, 2025, you don't want to raise your hand that you're a glober because you're embarrassed.
The tables are turning, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, we got one member. Does anybody else want to hold on to the globe theory?
Well,
We've got a couple of sitting on the fence and happy to see either way.
On the fence
Yeah.
is good. On the fence is good. You should never jump over that fence unless you know for sure. So maybe we can take a question. Like rather than a question, tell me what's making you stay on the globe, and let me show you something that maybe you've never seen or never thought of.
Excellent. Christine or Fiona, do you want to unmute yourselves and share?
Yeah. So would you agree that all spheres, oblate or not, have a curvature rate to them? Depending on their size, it would be different, right? All spheres, here's a sphere.
Yeah.
It has curvature. Curvature. It has a curve. Like you
Yeah.
can't see my mouth because it's behind the curvature, right? Right? You got it? So I'm just looking for something. So you said you like math. Remember the
No,
Pythagorean?
I don't like maths.
Nobody
I
likes
like
math because they don't teach you real math. In school, they teach you
exactly.
algebra, calculus. They teach you managerial accounting. They don't teach you vortex mathematics. They don't teach you um,
geometry.
sacred geometry.
Yeah.
But you do remember the Pythagorean theorem. If you have a right
Yeah.
angle triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? That we were taught that. That's really good, and that's actual science. So
Yeah.
if I go here and we say, okay, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, there it is. Don't, for those of you that hate math, this is easy. This is easy. Just hang in there. So if we're on a sphere and I take a parallel line from the bottom of my feet out, the Earth is going to curve away, right? So they tell us what the radius of the Earth is. A line from the center to the surface is 3,983 or something, just under 4,000 miles, right? And so if we take this line and then we know how far this line is, we can determine how far this line is, and then we could figure out what the drop is. So 3963 is the radius. So we know that this line is 3963. Great. And we're going to make this line 100 miles, not to scale, of course, not to scale. And so at 100 miles, there's going to be a drop, right? There's going to be a substantial drop of 15. What is a squared? A squared plus b squared equals, what do I have? Oh no, distance plus radius equals the hypotenuse. So that's what they are squared. And when you actually put the numbers in and divide it out, it's 3,964 miles. And if we subtract that from the radius, that gives us a drop of 1.2 miles. So this drop right here is 1.2 miles. The problem is we can see that far. We can see things that are far beyond that curve. We can see things that are far beyond that curve. Let me show you an example. An example would be, let's look at this one. It's one I show all the time, but it's actually a good one, easy to understand. So large bodies of water need to be contained. You would agree, you can't bring me 5 gallons of water without a container, right?
No.
You can't. It needs to be contained. Lakes need to be contained. What's the container for a lake? The land that's higher than the water. Because if the land was lower than the water would run away. So here we have a canal or a lake, whatever you want to call it. Fine. At rest, it lies flat, and the cold, it freezes flat. So we're on the ice. We have our super zoom P1000 6 inches above the ice. We put these lights out here that are 1 foot off the ice at 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles. Now, that doesn't seem far because we're told the Earth is so big, we're just a microbe on a basketball. We'd never be able to see it. But whenever you show a globe zealot something that should be hidden, they yell, refraction. It's refracting up. It's refracting up. Well, refraction takes a lot of things to work. And somehow we can add more refraction than they ever use. I think it's 50% refraction I added into this. That would make this light a minimum of 30 feet below the curve, 22 feet, 15 feet, and 9 feet. But for some reason, they're all there on that line. None of them are refracting up higher. None of them are refracting not far enough to see they'd be behind the curve. So we have 2 options. One is we're on the ice, the camera's 6 inches off the ice, and we see those 4 lights at those 4 distances. The other one is we're on a sphere. At 6 inches, the horizon should be less than a mile away. So this tangent of the Earth would be, this camera can't see below this line, but these lights are refracting up this much, and this one's going up farther, and this one's reacting farther, and this one's going up, the full length, and they all magically stop perfectly on that line. Now, which one of those explanations is, to be nice, idiotic? This one is idiotic. Okay. And also, things do refract. Have you ever taken a telescope or a super zoom camera on a beach and you're looking at somebody a mile down the beach? They turn into ghosts. They get compressed. Sometimes you can't see them. Sometimes they're giants. All these things happen, but you have line of sight to them. But if you put a 10-foot brick wall halfway down the beach, they're never going to refract up over that wall. Never, no matter what. So you have to have line of sight for something to refract, but it doesn't. We see too far. So let me show you this. This is a camera of 8 feet. So the horizon should be like 3.4 miles away. Now this platform C is 6 miles away. And this one here, I think it's 10 miles, 10.1 miles. The horizon should be halfway before this. And what do I mean by horizon, right? The horizon is like, so I'm touching the water here, but when that water goes beyond the horizon, you no longer can see the water, right? But I can see the water in front, between, and far beyond the other one. So that means one of two things. We got magical refraction adjusting perfectly to make everything appear to be flat, or the Earth is flat, or option C, the Earth is at least 1,000 times bigger than they tell us.
Yeah.
But even at 1,000 times bigger, we have observations that blow that out of the water. Pun intended. Here, I got a shorter one for you. So this boat has a microwave transmitter on it, and it was transmitting to this buoy. It's called the LoRa transmission. And these microwaves have to be line of sight. So they went over 800 miles. 800 miles. At 10 miles, there's too much curvature for this to happen. But it was able to do it at 800 miles.
Yeah.
There would be so much Earth, not to scale, so much Earth curve in between. There'd be miles and miles of curvature, but it's able to do it. 426,000 foot drop. Remember, 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet is a mile. So I think it's 80 miles of curvature. 80 miles. You can't even fathom what that is. But we have all of these things that work on a flat Earth, but the globe comes up with, oh, this and that. They just make up stuff, right? If you were never taught anything about the Earth, nobody was ever taught anything about the Earth, would you ever say, sitting down at the beach on a beautiful day, and, would you ever say, I think that we're vortexing through the galaxy, spinning, whirling, and twirling at uncomprehensible speeds, right? We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. That's why. And then we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's nonsense.
It's so silly. It's so silly. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
But people just believe it. Yeah. Not only would you feel it, I mean, there's so many problems. Like, how would you breathe? Air fills the available space. Well, we're surrounded by no pressure. All the air would go, poof, it would be gone.
Yeah. And the constellations would be different every night, every day.
Night.
You wouldn't have anything of consistency, would you?
No, nothing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense at all. And it's funny how the number 66 comes up quite a lot as well. So
let me show you this. This is a gas pressure simulator, right? This is just a simulation, right? We got some gas pressure in here. We got little fast moving ones and slow moving, smaller particles. We open up the top and there's no pressure difference, but the gas is not, gravity doesn't hold gas down. If I made the outside low pressure, it would have just disappeared in a second. But this is what gas does. So here's a real world example, So we have this gas in here, and then this has been evacuated. So this is the vacuum. And when we turn the valve, instantly, defying gravity, it just has to equalize. So the question to ask is, if I made this top vacuum, 10 times as big, it's still a vacuum, but the volume is 10 times as big, same thing would happen, maybe even more violently, right? It would equalize instantly because the amount of gas in here would have to equally spread out. So it would just instantly. So I made this an infinite sized vacuum, same thing. Gas would be gone in a second. Then we watch things like Cosmos with Carl Sagan, and they say, oh, the Voyager took a picture of us from outside Pluto or whatever, and this is the pale blue dot. So here we are. This is an infinite vacuum that you can't even comprehend. The air on the Earth would go, it'd be gone. We're gone. We'd be dead. So that is proof of creation. You can't have a big bang that creates a dome, creates an enclosure. You can't have a big bang that creates anything, they say. But I'll tell you, when I discovered flat Earth, I wasn't a believer in God or anything. I believed in evolution. I believed in space and everything. But when I looked at the evidence and said, oh my God, the earth is intelligently designed, I had no choice but to understand and know that there's a creator. There's a lot of people that believe in God, but they don't know it because they're lost in the heliocentric world. The helio-satanic model is incredible. It's all filled with 666s. It's insane.
Yeah. No, that was one of my questions actually. Has learning about flat Earth brought you to the knowledge of God? And to me, that is the most precious thing, because, well, it makes sense. Why would you move everybody away from a flat Earth and knowing and being the primary creation, the thing that God creates and puts us within his creation as the most precious thing within his creation? You take all of that away with the heliocentric model. There is no God. You're just pieces of space dust bumping into each other. Everything's random. There's no there's no intelligent design to it, and it doesn't make sense. None of that makes sense, but it does from an evil perspective for people that want to make you an atheist and believe that you're a cupboard or a cat or whatever it is, next week, so
there are no atheist flat earthers.
No, good. Debbie, you've got your hand up. Do you have something to do with the globe Earth that's a barrier for you?
Those are two great questions. Never heard those before. Right?
No.
When you Google flat Earth, you find that this is not flat Earth. This is called a false binary. It's a heliocentric flat Earth pancake world. Nobody believes that. The only people that believe that are people that haven't actually looked into flat Earth properly. So on the flat Earth, we live on a flat plane. Now, so first I'll go in circumnavigation, then I'll go to falling off the Earth, right? Mm-hmm. So on a flat Earth, we live in a giant pond. It's a giant pond. If you're on a giant lake sailing around, could you fall off the lake? No, you can't. You can sail to the edge if you were allowed to, right? So I have a magnet here. That's our North Pole. And I have my boat or plane or whatever, and it's a compass, and the needle is pointing to the north. Now, west is 90 degrees to north. So as I try to move that west, I have to constantly keep turning to the right to maintain a heading of 270 west. Do you see that? I have to keep turning to go west. West is not a straight line. East and west are circles. If I go east, I go this way and come right back around to where I started from. So there's your circumnavigation. Now, the problem for the flat Earth is if you started off in Santiago on a flat Earth and you went south on a globe, you'd end up in Australia. But on a flat Earth, you wouldn't. The problem is billions of people have circumnavigated east and west. 0 have done it south. So now I'm here again, and now I'm going to dead reckon west. So I say, all right, west is this way. I line my stick up, and I follow the stick. As soon as I start moving, I'm heading south because I didn't correct. South is every direction away from north. Nobody has circumnavigated south ever. Now, there are a couple liars that say they want to cross Antarctica. We showed you where they go. It's nothing. But here I am. And south, again, is away from north. So when I go south, I go away. I don't pop up over here magically. No one's ever done that, right? And now if I go north, I'm going north. Watch the compass. North, I'm going in a straight line. And as I pass the North Pole, the compass does a 180. And now I'm heading south. Every straight line is south. That's south. That's south. That's south. And that's south. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
In the scriptures, it says that God, he forgives your sins as far as the east is from the west. he doesn't say north from south. He says the east from west. So I thought that was quite interesting. Which means what he's trying to say is it goes on forever because it is circular. It's not linear, right?
Right. And
flat but circular. Yeah, I get
correct.
it. Yeah,
So,
okay, that makes sense.
So that was the falling off the earth. So let's just go over to map. Give me a second. Where did that go?
Just while you're doing that, Dave.
Yeah.
Two films, because obviously the truth is hidden in the arts. The Truman Show.
The True Man Show, the Sirius satellite
and
falls from the sky. Yeah.
And when he escapes, he hits the dome, doesn't he? He hits the edge of the dome when he escapes in his sailing boat. And then, of course, you've got Game of Thrones, where you've got the ice wall. Just thought I'd mention that.
I think there's two purposes of the Game of Thrones: to capture everyone's imagination, make them believe in an ice wall, which there is no ice wall. There's the ice shoreline. But it's not a wall. Like if I had a wall of ice and dirt that was 10 feet wide surrounding your property, that's a pretty interesting wall. But if that wall was 1,000 miles wide, you just call it land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It's higher. It's twice the average height of any other continent. Well, that's the shoreline of our world pond. It holds the waters in. We're not supposed to go there, right? So what they did is they took this map out of all the encyclopedias, out of all the libraries, they cut it out, they wrapped it around a sphere and said, you're not allowed to go to this white area without supervision. We'll take you and show you some penguins right here on the corner, but you're not allowed to go there, and this is all that there is. And no one's allowed to go independently beyond 60 degrees south. Now think about this. Let me just get it where I can see Australia. All right, so here's Australia. So imagine you lived in Australia and the government said at 200 miles offshore, so they made a circle around Australia, 200 miles out. You can't even see 200 miles. You can't see 50 miles, right? Because of angular resolution and stuff. And you're told if you go out there, the military ship will stop you and say, you can't go out there. It's a wasteland. It's a wasteland. There's nothing there. There's nothing. And you're not allowed to go there, and they send you back. So they take that circle, they wrap it around a ball, so all of that 200-mile circle gets compressed into a little continent. They say it's a continent at the bottom of the ball, but in reality, it's just a circle around you. So all the people in Australia wouldn't know about all of these other countries. They wouldn't know about them at all. So what if there's more countries out beyond 60 degrees south?
Do you believe that there are?
So I don't know that there are, but I do.
Evidence for it,
there's a lot of evidence. So on my app, so let me just go to maps. So this was a map that was found in a Buddhist temple, 10 centuries old. It was published in 1907 in a Hawaiian magazine, showing like 30 some odd continents out here. Now imagine this. I took this map and I wrapped it around a ball so all these continents get shoved into just a little area on the bottom. And they go, this is where you live. You're not allowed to go out beyond this line. You could think you live on a ball and that's all that there is. Well, look, there's 30 other continents. Who's out there? Maybe the Incas and the Mayans and the other advanced civilizations. Maybe the Anunnaki are still out there. Maybe the fallen angels are out there. I couldn't tell you what's out there, but let me show you guys. Let me show you something. This is going to be interesting. So this is just another map. Think about this. If there's extra land, extra territory, extra terra, extraterrestrial in the outer space. So literally, somebody could come in here, abduct you, probably, anally probe you. Isn't that what they do? And then make it back home in time for the dinner with the kids. Okay? It's not traveling from intergalactic space and crashing in Roswell. They're right out here. So, but you guys are gonna like this. Have you seen my stuff on Kiribati?
No.
So this is mind blowing. This is gonna take a couple minutes, but this is worth it. This is worth the whole podcast right here. Let me just pull it up. So here we go. So you can go online and whoops, I gotta get rid of that. Second. Where'd that go? So you can go online and you can go on ship tracking, shiptracker.com or whatever, and you can find all the cargo ships, cruise ships, and find out exactly where they are, where they're going, who the captain is, where they're registered, and everything. And we were looking, and we saw a ship that was classified as a fishing vessel, and it was 730 miles from the closest port. What? How does an active ship get 730 miles inside of Antarctica? Zooming out, we got another one that was 905 miles, which is almost in the middle of Antarctica. How is that possible? So we clicked on one of the ships, and it said it was 850 meters long and 80 meters wide. That is a gigantic ship. That's an awful big fishing boat, right?
Mm.
And just trying to get here. And it had very little information. Destination unknown, registered to the nation of I'm going to pronounce it the way it's spelled, Kiribati. And we're like, where the heck is Kiribati? So when we Google Earth it, search Kiribati, it goes out to the middle of the South Pacific. I had to put a pin on it. It's literally just a sandbar, a little bigger than a sandbar, right? And it's just a small little island nation called Kiribati. And we're like, wait a minute, what is this? So notice the spelling, Kiribati, right? Biti, yeah, they call it Kiribati or whatever, right? And another funny thing about that is somebody was looking around Kiribati and found there's a Captain Cook hotel or bed and breakfast, whatever it is. Captain Cook Inn hotel. And Captain Cook, for those of you that don't know, he's the guy that tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, which is about 10,000 miles around. And it took him 3.5 years. He went over 68,000 miles. 68,000 miles. How's that possible when the equator is only 25,000 miles? He went 68,000 miles. It's supposed to be a smaller circle at the bottom of the ball. So that's a problem. So that doesn't prove anything other than, somebody likes the story of Captain Cook, right? So we looked at the ships that were docking at their way oversized pier, and there was a whole bunch of them, and all of them had destination unknown or destination Christmas Island. Now, some people say Kiribati is called Christmas Island, which may or may not be true. But if you know all of the stuff with Christmas, Santa Claus, Satan Claus, right? That's just a very suspicious name. Very, 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 very suspicious name. Now, are you guys aware about the nuclear bomb hoax?
No.
Nuclear bombs don't exist. If you don't believe me, that's good.
Absolutely.
You're with me. Nuclear bombs do not exist. On my website, flatearthdave.com, scroll down to the bottom. There's a nuclear bombs banner. Listen to this podcast, and then you'll know. You won't believe, you'll know. Good. Sorry.
It's all about fear, is it, and control?
It's all about fear and control. So they say that there was lots of nuclear bomb testing on this island, right? And one of the stories that one of the people in the military gave, he said, "Oh yeah, I was there." This old guy told the story. He goes, "I put my hands over my face when it went off, and I could see the bones through my fingers." Okay, he's watching too much Bugs Bunny. That doesn't happen, right? He said he saw his hand through his fingers, right? It's crazy, right? And then they show this picture. Now look, let's zoom in. If there's a nuclear bomb going off here, first, that's an awfully clean nuclear bomb. Look at these people. No one's hitting the deck. They're walking in all different directions. It looks like they're like, oh, it's lunchtime. This isn't a nuclear bomb. This is just fear. And then this is a recent article, or fairly recent, and it's the same picture they use in every nuclear bomb story everywhere. It's been used a million times. Google, search that picture, and it's crazy. So that's weird. They don't want people going there. Whenever you see nuclear bombs, testing, stay out. That's interesting. So time zones. Time zones are the lines from north to south on a globe. And there's 24 of them, right? We know 24 time zones. So the sun spins around in 24 hours. So wherever the sun is, it's noon. 24 sections of an orange, if you will. Those are all your time zones going around a sphere. However, there's a weird time zone. There's one at the international date line that's shaped like this. And it goes across 3.5 time zones. Did you know also that there's 18 time zones in the north, 24 between the tropics, and 32 in the south? Which doesn't make sense on a ball, but it makes a lot of sense on a flat Earth. But this time zone, why would it go around like this? Like, oh, it's international politics, whatever. Well, it's weird. And this spot right here, I would call that the weirdest spot of all. Huh. That's where Kiribati is, right? Don't know what that means. And America and Russia gave them $10 billion in the recent years. Vietnam gave them another huge amount. And they say that Kiribati is a very important trade route, right? And so if you look at the flat Earth, this map that was found in a Buddhist temple, and you look where Kiribati is, maybe it is an important trade route. They're going out here. Take this, wrap it around a ball. All of this becomes Antarctica. And now you got a ship in the middle of Antarctica. So what are they trading out there? Are they trading tuna fish, weapons, technology, children? I don't know. Christmas Island, children? Well, I don't know.
It doesn't make sense that every single country in the world could come together and make a treaty around Antarctica and keep to it over so many decades.
Longest standing treaty ever.
Yeah, but they can't. But every year or every month, there's a new war kicking off with a country. It doesn't make sense.
We get along in Antarctica. We get along on the space station. We're having wars all over the place. They agree on two things. Well, a couple of things. One thing, multiple points, is nobody can independently explore Antarctica. Nobody can independently explore the North Pole. Everyone gets along on a space station, a make-believe place. And the other one is everyone has to become a human pincushion. Right? Yeah. Everyone, they all agree on those things. It's amazing. It's one big theater show, right? Yeah. But now here's the interesting thing. So we made a bunch of videos on this. They started going viral all over the place. And then people are like, wait a minute, I can't find Kiribati. And when you search Kiribati, it takes you to the other side of the world to this other island. Kiribati's all the way over here. And they changed the name to Karamati.
Right.
No,
recently.
Just after our video went viral. It's now Karamati.
Sounds like basmati rice, doesn't it? That's crazy. But it makes sense.
So when you search, you don't find it. So again, there's a preponderance of evidence. Let me show you another one. So a couple things. One, I may be responsible for the changing of the name to Karamati. When I interviewed Ruth, I was like, this is amazing. And the video is going super viral. It was uploaded to like 1,000 different channels. And I tell everybody, we need to get into nursing homes and talk to people that are over 100 because we don't have that much time, right? We're at the end of, where things change. And everyone's like, yeah, we're going to do it. 3 days later, all the nursing homes in the world were shut down because of COVID. And nobody could go visit them.
Yeah.
I may be responsible for that. All right. So wait, one more thing I may be responsible for. So you guys know about the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah. When they destroyed not so long ago, someone took a gun.
I may be responsible for that. Let me show you.
We'll just blame you, Dave, for everything in the world.
Well, the truth will get things destroyed for sure. So we're whirling and twirling, but if you look through this hole in the center stone, Polaris is there all the time, forever. Now, they say that we're so far from Polaris, even though we're traveling 4.4 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before, even though we go 183 million miles on other side of the sun or whatever the number is. It's so far away, there's no parallax. Stupid, but fine. Okay. But what they can't get away is that the Earth is wobbling. So the axis of the Earth is wobbling, right? So it's wobbling, and that would move, and it wobbles 1 degree every 72 years. Well, it was built in 1981. It was up for over 40 years. So we're more than a half a degree, and 1 degree is 2 to 3 moon widths in size in the sky. So it would be at least a moon width out of the hole, and it wasn't. It was there. So we went there. We did time lapses. We made these videos, and they started going super viral. And out of nowhere, boom, a terrorist blew up the Georgia Guidestones. 3 hours later, bulldozers were there, took the whole thing down, stole the time capsule, no investigation.
It's nuts. Well done you. Maybe you should start putting a target on some of these big tycoons and people behind the scenes, these dark shadows that are really causing all the heartache and trouble for us.
Here's the thing. We don't have, the only enemies we have are ourselves, because they can't do anything to us unless they have us in fear, unless they have us creating what we don't want. That people are like, what can I do? I'm only one person. That's one person awake and aware and using their thoughts properly can change the world. Absolutely. Yeah. This place is not what we're told it is. We are not who we're told we are. We are way more powerful beings than they want us to know. And that's why they do this. So why the lie? Because they're hiding our true divinity. They're hiding where we are. They're hiding more resources. They're hiding, they're hiding everything. They're hiding freedom. This is a analogy I have. We're these powerful, spiritual, connected beings, right? There used to be a way. I hope you guys are all awake to the old world stuff. I don't know if you guys are looking at it.
Yep, Tartaria and
my
the
lunch
technology.
Break. Everybody follow my lunch
energy.
Break. My lunch break.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I do like him. He is good.
He's the best. And there's so many others. And on my app, there's a whole Tartaria page. But we are these connected, cosmic, for lack of a better word, entities in this spiritual realm. But what they did is they capped us off. They put a ball over our head, which is fear, limitation,
lack of resources,
lack of everything, overpopulated, running out of resources, all nonsense. We spent all our lives paying for electricity, heat, and gas for our cars, right? That's the majority of what we're working for, and all of that should be free. All of that should be free energy. They had airships bigger than cruise ships flying all over the world hundreds of years ago. Crazy stuff, like wild stuff.
I think it goes deeper than that, though, Dave. I think it's a fight for your soul. I think ultimately it's your eternal resting place with God that is being compromised here. Because the enemy, the devil, that's what he wants. He just wants your soul. The very thing that's supposed to return to God is the thing that he steals and robs from God, which 100%.
So when I talk about flat Earth, this is a very simple picture of the toroid that we live in. This is the plane of inertia that's in the middle of the toroid. I would say it's less than 1% of this entire system. So this is the Earth. The flat Earth is less than 1% of this whole system. The whole thing couldn't exist without the rest of it. But this is what we experience here. They don't want us experiencing all of this metaphysical, spiritual part. They want us here fighting for our next, material thing. They want us here fighting each other. They want us all hating each other, arguing. This whole Charlie Kirk thing is literally dividing the truth community because people are, and they do it through your emotions and fear, false evidence appearing real. That's the only way they can control you. And the news is steering your mind. News, north, east, west, south. They're steering your mind.
Right. Okay. Well, look, we've got some people with their hands up. Let's go to some quick fire questions and let's see how many we get through.
Hey, one at a time.
Andrea, do you want to unmute yourself?
Can you tell? So this is the solstice, and this is the other solstice. Can you tell which solstice this one is versus which one this one is by looking at this? Well, how do you know that that's the Tropic of Cancer? There you go. Correct. So if you were viewing this exact same thing from the south, this side would be higher because they're not any higher. It's level.
Exactly.
It's level. But so this is in the north, and so the sun takes a slower loop around the smaller circle, and then it speeds up and goes out here. Now, how can we use that to prove the shape of the Earth? And it's actually very easy because in the north, you guys are in the, where are you guys located?
Mostly in the UK, but then we've got some members in the America.
Okay, so in the north, so in June and July, when the sun sets, it's light for an hour. It's light for like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, right? So from sunset to pitch black is like an hour and 45 minutes for me in June. But in December, sunset, forget what time it's at, sunset to total darkness is like 15 minutes. Why is that? Because the sun is out here and it's going faster. Now on a ball, as we lose twilight, the South should be gaining twilight and vice versa. So in their summer, they should have longer twilight than they do in their winter. But the truth is, everywhere in the world, even they have different amounts of twilight depending on your topography. From June through December, everyone in the world has a shorter and shorter and shorter twilight. And from December to June, everyone's twilight grows. That absolutely matches the flat Earth model and completely negates the globe model.
Excellent. Good stuff. Andrea, do you have any more?
New Zealand, Australia's right on the corner, and they want to go to Argentina. Well, FlightAware says this would be the shortest route, FlightAware, but the plane goes all the way up to San Francisco, across to Houston, Texas, and all the way back down, crossing the equator. This is the equator. Now, think about it. On a ball, if you're flying from any northern airport to any other northern airport, you would never go below the equator to get there, no matter which way you want. You just want to go the fastest way around the ball. And guess what? Nobody ever does go south of the equator from a northern airport to any other northern airport, no matter where it is. The same should be true in the South. But in the South, as I'm showing you here, this one goes way the hell out of the way, across and down. But if you look at it on a flat Earth, New Zealand, San Francisco, Houston, Argentina. Isn't it weird that all these convoluted globe routes are straight lines on a flat Earth? What are the odds of that? We should ask Grok.
Good. Dave, you got your hand up?
It can happen on a flat Earth model. There's several ways that it can, but all of the stuff that happened on there was super fishy. There was, I don't want to get into it because we talking for an hour just to crack the surface of it, but there's some great videos on it in the 24-hour sun section on my app. But I'll give you the short. The short is they never filmed the sun for 24 hours and never live streamed the sun for 24 hours. The person that created it for me to take me down and my app down because it was waking up too many people. But I saw through the false dichotomy that they were offering. And I said, I'm not going, right? They tried everything they could to coerce me to go, all the influences of my life. And so then we ended up sending 2 other flat earthers, or 3, who are still flat earthers, except one of them completely flipped. He now believes in the moon landing. He now believes Katy Perry went to space. He now believes that the becoming a human pincushion for the boogeyman is the correct thing to do. He literally became a glober. So now everyone says he's a shill. Everyone says he got paid off. I go another route. I think it's a spiritual thing. I think he literally lost his control of his soul. I think that it's way more spiritual. What happened to him, because it makes absolutely no sense. But here's the thing. Let's talk about that for a second. I was saying, listen, this is going to be a scam. They're like, they can't fake the sun and everything. And because, I don't know if you've seen the thing with the sun simulator, that's called a red herring. It was released a couple of years ago. Like, they got a sun simulator, right? It's so stupid, right? It's not what they did down there. But I said, it's always cloudy down there. I said, but so they could fake a sun behind the clouds. And he said, yeah, we don't, if it's cloudy. And the guy, Will Duffy, who's a total fake pastor, scammer, in trouble with millions and millions of dollars of fines, probably could be going to jail. Maybe he's doing this as a plea bargain, as a way not to go to jail. But he said, even if it's hazy, I'll consider it a win for flat Earth. That was just to get these guys to go. So they went. And when they got there, the people that were getting on the plane go, you guys are lucky. We haven't seen the sun for 3 months. And the day they get there, it's 9/11 blue. It's like the bluest sky ever. The day they get there, not a cloud in the sky, right?
Yeah.
And then, so you start, I'm getting into this a little bit. The Lockheed whistleblower from Antarctica said the directed energy technology they have down there is incredible. Microsoft admits that they have a way to send images into free space. They don't even need plasma or anything. They could literally project a plasma image into thin air, right? And people believe in Project Blue Beam, but you don't believe that they can put a bright light in the sky, especially if you have a liquid crystal dome at 13 or 18,000 feet or whatever it is. I mean, there's so much to that. And here's the funny thing is Microsoft has this technology. Microsoft's heavily involved with NASA. I got a whistleblower inside Microsoft that saw some stuff that he wasn't supposed to see that I really can't talk about, so it's just hearsay. And they have contracts with NASA. Isn't it funny that the one guy in the world high up in Microsoft that it would be most qualified for pulling off faking the sun and faking the sky in Antarctica happened to be in Antarctica during the final experiment?
Yeah.
So,
Dave, you know what we need? We need
Yeah.
you to be down there. We need you to go down
well,
there.
no. Here's the
and
thing.
then
Here's the
prove 'em
thing.
wrong.
Here's the thing. If you want to say that the motion of a light in the sky, the sun, determines the shape of the Earth, even though we've measured the Earth, right? Globers love talking about people in the past and things and lights in the sky. Well, we're not a light. We don't live in the sky. But if you want to say that the circling sun proves the shape of the Earth, you now have to believe that helium and hydrogen that defy gravity on Earth, that defy natural gas laws of expanding, collapse and become a gravitational body that burns 640 billion tons of fuel every hour for billions of years, but never gets smaller, has gravity that can hold on to Pluto and Jupiter and Neptune, but ignores our moon, that circles around in perfect synchronization, that lines up with the moon for eclipses on an 18-year cycle like clockwork. You have to believe in such incredible nonsense, right? So if there was a circling sun, which I do not believe that there is,
Okay.
what they saw, what they showed us, I do not believe that was natural. But if there was, all it tells us is how much we understand the sky. It tells us nothing about the floor of the Earth. There you go.
All I know is, Dave, is I trust my senses. So I'm on holiday at the minute. I look out over the sea when I'm at the beach, and I just see a flat line. The water doesn't bend. So
Well,
I just
water at
believe
rest
that
doesn't bend.
it
Water
just
at
rests.
rest.
Yeah. So we have a level
Yeah.
when we're building when we have a level for building whatever, putting a shelf up or whatever. Water finds its level.
You have a
And
water
it doesn't
table in
bend.
the earth, in the
Yeah.
ground. You have something called a water table. Why would you call it a table?
Oh, that's it. I never thought about that. So
Yeah.
I'm showing you, these are some boats. This is like, you zoom out, you can't see this boat anymore. You think this is the Earth horizon, but the boat's still there. It's still there.
Yeah.
Right? And it just goes until its light can't push through the soup of the atmosphere. If I zoomed out, all that's gone. This looks like the Earth horizon. I think I am zooming out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
did that boat go over the horizon or is it just out of your view?
Exactly.
There it is.
Perspective. Good. All right, Fiona, you've got your hand up.
You know what? I don't believe in that. It's the only time stuff like that happens is when you're in fear of it. I have no fear. I know that God's got my back. I know that I'm doing the best that I can. I know that nobody can hurt me or harm me. I know that that I have a journey and I'm doing it and I don't regret it in my life. I've never worked harder in my life. I had my own business with two partners, but now I'm working even harder, more. I work 18 hours a day, and then while I'm sleeping, I'm thinking of stuff. I'm writing stuff down. I'm trying to, but this is what I would do in my spare time. So I like waking people up. I can't imagine a world where I'm not doing the right thing. And, I don't have any fear. hey, if they show up, I hope they bring me a nice chai latte and we have a good conversation. But I don't believe that they can break our free will. They can just get up. We are our own worst enemy. The biggest problem in your life is yourself. And so when you clear up your thoughts, connect with the creator, I think we're unstoppable. I haven't heard anything about that, but it's hard to travel. So I don't think you can really get to the North Pole. I think that there's some energy there that you can't fly over it. So I don't know. I mean, there's stories of not Captain Cook, one of the other captains that went there, and they said that all of a sudden the water got warm, and then it got to a point where all of a sudden they had this pull, all the metal on the ship, the nails started getting pulled out of the ship and going towards the north. So maybe there is some giant magnetic source there, which makes sense because the farther south you go, the weaker the magnetic force gets. In Antarctica, your compass doesn't work, barely works, if it works at all. On a ball, the compass shouldn't work on the equator. Actually, it shouldn't work anywhere because it's a ball. But, if you have a North Pole and a South Pole, the compass should be confused on the equator, but it's not. It all compasses, no matter where you are, point north. Check this out. On Google Earth, we can go in and we can draw a line around South America, and it tells us how many square miles it is. Cool. If I try to draw it around Antarctica, it does this weird loop. Look at that. So remember, undo Antarctica, then now it makes sense. That's like, it's trying to do that. So that's weird that it does it there. And then if we go to the north, I'll go around the North Pole.
You've been looking at that black rock as well.
Yeah, well, black rock would be right in here. And it does the same thing here. But I can go anywhere else. Like I'll go here. I'll just go around Greenland. No problem. But the North Pole and the South Pole, the two places that don't make sense on a globe, are unmeasurable on a globe. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, too many coincidences for my liking.
And by the way, the why the lie, on my app, and listen, I'm not here to sell apps, but the app is $3 and it bypasses Google censorship and it'll teach you what you need to know. Every day there's a featured video. I just say, watch that while you're having your coffee, and you're going to have great thoughts during the day. You're going to think about stuff, and it's literally going to inspire you. But on the FAQ page, there's all these sections, and my favorite one is Why the Lie. Great videos there. Amazing. And then, as I told you before, the Tataria page, the old world page, which is the Griffin, really, really good stuff in here. That'll keep you busy for a long time. And for those of you that haven't seen the lost history of flat Earth, it's a 5-hour video, right? 5-hour video. Who's got time for that, right? When that first came out years ago, people sent it to me, and I'm like, I'm not watching a 5-hour video. And a couple of people more sent it to me. A week or so later, I was cleaning up my office at 11 o'clock at night. It's, let me just put this on, see what this is about. And 5 minutes later, I'm not cleaning up my office. And the next thing I know, it's 4 a.m. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Right? And I went to work and I came home and I watched it again. A 5-hour video twice in one day. Next question. I see a lot of hands.
Good. Excellent. John?
Exactly. It's funny. A real quick story.
Really weird experience, but
in 1998, long before flat Earth ever crossed my mind, I did a thing called the Transatlantic Windsurfing Race. We went from Newfoundland, Canada to Weymouth, England. We had a Russian icebreaker as the mothership, and it was a kind of a relay race. Long story short, there was a crew of Swedish women that were, serving food and doing all the stuff you do, because it's kind of like a hotel on a ship where we sleep. And this ship that we had does tours of Antarctica. I didn't know anything about Antarctica back then, and I was talking to them about it. And they said, oh yeah, we go here, we do this, and this is what we do, because we're saying, what do you guys do when you're not doing this charter? And I said, did you ever go around Antarctica? I just asked a random question, and they all looked at each other and laughed. And they're like, no, 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 no. And then they all just scooted away.
Are they all on like some secret, like, where they can't say anything?
There's people that their livelihoods matter. Like what scientists are flat earthers? Well, none that you're ever going to hear about, because they lose their funding. But that's all changing. That's all changing. There's more pilots. Incredible. Like go ask the next time you're getting off an airplane. Ask the pilot, is it flat or round? You've got a 50% or better chance that he's going to say it's flat if he has any balls. Next question.
Good, Mo.
Well, when you say that you're agnostic and it doesn't matter, that's the biggest. I used to say that, by the way, totally. But if you don't know who you are, where you are, what this place is, especially what it isn't, you're giving up a lot of your ability to manifest. So it is, I think, and there are a lot of big things going on in the world. All these other psyops, they wouldn't happen. They wouldn't be able to get away with any of them, especially the human pincushion thing, if people weren't spinning out of control, lost in space, thinking that they grew up from an amoeba having sex with another amoeba. Well, the thing that we call gravity doesn't exist, because gravity is just a theory, but there is a downward force. Your body is more dense than the air around. Therefore, you are being pulled down. We can prove that gravity. Well, gravity has never been proven. Let me just show you a quick example.
It's a theory. It's always been a theory.
It is totally a theory. But if we look at this, so everything in this world is electrostatic. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode. The salt water carries the current. The land is the salt bridge. That makes a battery, right? Right. Everywhere on Earth, down equals, down is down. Down is down for everybody in the same place. And they say that's crazy, but in reality, that's crazy. Down is up is down, right? Walter Lewin, a great professor at MIT, says it's all electrical forces that hold the world together. Okay. He's one of the greatest physics professors. So here's a little simple trick that we did, or an experiment. It's some leftover helium balloons, and we tied them to this button. And it's about 2 inches off the floor. This wire goes to a Van de Graaff generator. And we can change the electrostatic charge of this button. So now the Earth has a negative charge, the sky has a positive charge, and we add more positive charge, it goes down. So it just got heavier. Did we change gravity, or did we change the electrostatic potential? Discharge, and it goes back up. So we can, let's try the opposite of that. So if we put a negative charge into something, it goes up. Turn it off, it goes down. Turn it back on, it goes up. Interesting, right? This is from MIT again. This is called the silent drone. It's got no moving parts. It's just changing its electrostatic potential, and it's defying what? Is it defying electrostatics, or is it defying gravity? It's defying the electrostatic charge of the world, right? There is a downward flow, measurable, testable of energy coming down from the sky, which is positively charged, into the negative charge of the Earth. That's why sometimes when lightning strikes right next to somebody, they go flying in the air, because the Earth just changed polarity for a split second and ejected them. Didn't turn off gravity. It just sent them flying through the air. So we can prove that electrostatics is real. We can test it, manipulate it. Nobody has ever done that. So you Google that, gravity test, and they'll say, the Cavendish experiment, where they had 2 lead balls in a barn over 48 hours. They attracted to each other, but they didn't isolate electrostatics. The sun and the moon went by twice, changing the electrostatic field, right? It wasn't an experiment. It was an actual, it was just insanity. In America here, we have it's declassified now, a triangular aircraft. I think it's the XRT-3B, and it lifts and propels itself using electrostatics. And it's probably pulling that energy straight out of the air. Why don't we all have that? We could all have flying cars that you wouldn't need to refill. Right. And so they don't want you to know about the ether. Right. And you know why? Because if you had the ether, people would get stuff like this. Right. I have this. This is called it's the it's a Tesla coil, and you connect to it, and it fills your body with this energy, and it heals all sorts of things. Now, I don't like to say it heals because you're not allowed to say that. I say it makes you feel good, and then the thing that you had that has the big C or whatever goes away. It's incredible, right? But they don't want you to know any of this stuff. They don't want you to know any of it. And because we look at all these churches and stuff, those were healing centers, right? Literally, we lived in an energetic infrastructure that was created by angelic beings, if not God himself, right? And all of that has been hidden from us. If you're not watching My Lunch Break, go watch My Lunch Break. Everybody on YouTube, My Lunch Break.
So you got John Levi there as well. He's pretty good as well.
He's totally different. Love them both, right? So I watch them every week. They put out 1 or 2 videos a week. John puts out 1, I think. Fantastic.
This is what I love, though, is not one of us has all the answers, right? But together, you've got a piece of the jigsaw. Someone else has got a piece of the jigsaw, and slowly, this picture is building. The truth is building, right? That's the important thing. Good. Thanks, Mo. Evan?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, Evan.
Hi, Dave. I've been watching you since 2015, actually.
You're a flat earther, I hope. Otherwise, I'm going to kill myself.
Back in the days before Jeranism lost his mind. But anyway.
Don't blame Jeranism. I think that this is a real spiritual thing. I think if we knew what happened to Jeranism, we would be sad for him. I don't think he sold out. I think that something else happened. I don't even know if that's him anymore that we see. He doesn't look at the camera. He's got his hat like this. His face looks like it has a filter on it. It's really weird. So I don't know. It's super dark. So everyone's like, oh, he got paid off. He was an agent from the beginning. He woke up too many people to be an agent from the beginning.
Yeah. Briefly, could you explain the jet streams and how the difference on a ball Earth and on a flat Earth, how ridiculous they are, if you could?
They're so ridiculous. On the app, if you go down to the bottom left-hand corner there, I completely forget where I have that. Oh, here we go. Southern Flights. I think it's in there. So we're all showing the wave. It goes up America and then it goes down. It's the jet stream. It does this crazy thing. But when you convert it to a flat Earth map, it's a perfect circle. They make beautiful, perfect circles around the world. Four winds. Oh, yeah. Well, this is one image. So these they all make perfect circles. But when you put that around a globe, you gotta make this crazy sine wave, and it's insane. So this explains how planes can take these outer routes. You go up higher. There's kink winds here are like 300 miles an hour. So you put that tailwind into that, and you can make up these distances with these faster planes. These are just perfect circles. And if you look at, I don't have the map right now, but if you look at all of the eclipses that happen, they're all like curve here, curve here, curve there. You put that on a flat Earth map, they make circles. They all make circles.
Yeah, it's Occam's razor as well. You want to, the most simplest is usually the answer, right?
Right. And when we watch a solar eclipse, right? So you got the moon comes in front of the sun, right? But at solar and lunar eclipse, you'll see whether it's the moon or not, you'll see the eclipse happen. And then instead of keep going straight, it comes in, and then it takes a right-hand turn and goes out a different way. It literally comes in and then turns out.
And don't forget is it called a selenilium?
Selenilium, right.
When you've got the moon and the sun both in the sky at the same time, well, that's an eclipse. We
do these TikTok lives on Angels of Light. Check them out. It's early in the morning here. It'd be midday for you. And we have Globers come up, and we don't care about their flat Earth this, flat Earth that. We just say, present your globe proof. And they all go, well, what about the eclipse on the moon, right? You can't cast a shadow 250,000 miles and have it be a crisp shadow. Put a basketball on the ground at noon, and you'll see a nice crisp shadow around it. Hold the basketball above your head. You can't even see the shadow. It's so diffused, right? It's gone. And when you cast a shadow of a sphere onto another sphere and eclipse it, it comes in as a parabola. It turns into a wide eclipse, and then it leaves as a parabola. It doesn't come across with that perfect smiley face that they show. And then you mentioned, just for those of you that don't know, the selenilian eclipse is this. So if somebody's standing here, you're always on the top of the ball from your point of view, and they can see the sun above their shoulder and the moon above their shoulder. That means the eclipse hasn't started. And when the eclipse starts, the shadow should come in from the bottom like that and exit like that. But that's not what happens. That's not what happens. The Selenilian eclipse, it couldn't have started here because his horizon is below both of them, but it does, and the shadow comes in from the top. So this is what you see. You're on the Earth, you see the Selenilian eclipse, but this is what you should see. That's if one of them was below the Earth. But even if it is, the eclipse, the shadow comes in from the wrong side, and people don't have the three-dimensional perception to work it out.
Well, I mean, the moon is an odd thing in my mind. It gives off a different kind of heat, a cold heat that's been measured, right? It looks, sometimes you can see through it. It looks like it's in water. There's all, I mean, I believe that these things are signs. God says, in the very beginning, on the fourth day, he creates the sun and the moon, and they're equal lights, one for the day, one for the night. But it looks plasma or something, it doesn't look like a rock.
You've seen the guy in the 1950s, the black and white film, the guy being interviewed saying that the moon is plasma, we're never going to the moon. He's gone. So this is an eclipse. This is a real eclipse that I filmed. It's a solar eclipse. It's a little hazy sky, so I got a good, nice, crisp picture of it because it's not blowing out the camera lens. But do you see the moon? Everyone thinks they see the moon, but what they see is missing sun. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me show you what I mean. So, wait a second. Eclipse. Where is it going to go? Missing sun. Hold on. Where did it go? I just lost it. Invisible eclipse. All right, here we go. So, do you see the moon? No, you see missing sun. You see missing sun. You assume a moon.
Right.
But you don't see a moon. You see missing sun. So is the moon going in front? Now, on the Earth here, there would be like a full Earth reflecting light back to the sun. Earth shine, just like we have moonshine. We should be able to see the moon. Some camera, even without an infrared lens, should be able to see it. But we just see missing sun. So what is it? My theory is that whatever it is, whether it's the moon or something else, is behind the sun. Let me show you. So here it is. All right, so I filmed this. And this is my paper towel sky. So I believe that the sun is within the firmament. We're under the firmament, and it is being projected, and we're seeing the projection of the sun. You ever watch a movie in a park, with a sheet, watching the movie rear projected, and if you look through the sheet, you can see the projector.
Yeah.
You ever look? You can see through the screen. You can see the bright light that's being projecting on the screen. So let's watch this for a second. So we filmed an eclipse one day, and we saw this weird thing. We saw this little eclipse right here. Now, this is all blown out because it's so bright. The eclipse is like 85, 90%. And we see this. Now, this is a lens flare. It's just moving around. But this one's locked into position to the sun. So it's not a lens flare, because this is a lens flare. This is locked. So what is this? And I say this is the source of the sun that we see. And the only time you can see the source of the sun is when we have these crazy smoky skies from the Canadian fires, allegedly, or during an eclipse when the light is way diminished, and then we can see through the sky. So I did a little experiment. I did my paper towel rear projection sky. I've got a light projecting onto here, and I'm just eclipsing it with this bottle cap. So we don't see the bottle cap moon. We don't see what's eclipsing the sun. We don't see it eclipsing it or exiting or approaching. We just see the eclipse. Then I said, wait a minute, what if the sky is a little more transparent than that? So I got tissue paper. And here is the light. I'm eclipsing it. This is
It
the
gave
light
the
I'm
same
seeing
effect.
through the paper. And it looks exactly like what we see. This is seeing through the sky to the projector. This is the source of this light.
Amazing. Good. All right, Richard.
So there's been a number of resets. You got to watch. There's a lot of people that talk about the reset. It's not my specialty, but like Archaics, he's pretty well read. There's
Phoenix. He talks about every
the Phoenix event.
120, 44 years or something. Yeah.
Right. So supposedly we have until May 15th, 2040. So get your affairs in order. But I don't believe in dates, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I couldn't tell you, but he's more well read than I'll ever be. So take it with a grain of salt. So there's stories that the fallen angels came down to earth and taught man how to do all of these things, build this infrastructure. There was, you look at all the old world buildings, they got carvings on them that we couldn't do today with lasers, and they supposedly did it by hand. They're all angels on there and stuff. I don't know. I mean, this could be angelic, buildings. I don't know. And I don't believe anything we're told about anything more than 100 years old, years ago. I mean, in America here, we're told that Lewis and Clark crossed the Mississippi to find a trade route to the West Coast, but all the cities were already built. The bridges were already there, right? It's all made up. Watch my lunch break, everybody.
Yeah, no, he is good.
Watch.
Good. Anything else, Richard?
Have you looked into the airplanes don't use jet fuel?
Yes. Yeah.
So
where is it?
When I was a kid in the early 70s, I remember on the nighttime news, 10 p.m. news, they talked about how the military has planes, they call them ramjets, that literally stop using fuel when they're flying high and they just burn air. And it was like, they're like, this is great. This is good. Couldn't change world travel and everything. Story disappeared. Never heard about it again. Right. So that was just shut down right away. I believe that there is some fuel on planes, not much, not much.
Just for the ignition.
Just to get it off the ground. Basically.
Maybe. I don't even know that, because I'm going on a flight tomorrow, and every time I'm on a flight, I just close my eyes and I listen. All I hear is electric. I don't hear a combustion engine. I just hear electric engines. That's all I hear. So I don't know. What else? One more.
Good. Yeah. Well, Andrew, you've had a question. Woody, did you have one?
I wanted to, someone said